Let's talk about the Catholic Church, a history full of mysteries and questions. Imagine going back in time to the very beginning of the history of the Catholic Church. Who could have come up with the idea of creating something so big and important? Was it just because of faith, or was there also a political plan behind it? That's what we're going to explore together. First of all, we need to understand the context. The Catholic Church didn't come out of nowhere. It was built over the years, with many people, events, and even conflicts that helped shape it. But then the question arises, who was the real founder? Some say it was Jesus, because he gave the first instructions on faith. Others point to the apostles, especially Peter, who was given the mission to lead. And there are still those who question whether, later on, the Roman emperors didn't have a significant influence on what the church became. So, we have these intriguing questions. Who really founded the Catholic Church? Was it something purely spiritual, or were there also political interests involved? These questions are like pieces of a puzzle. Let's put these pieces together and understand how it all began, in a way that is easy to follow. Ready for this trip back in time? Let's go. The beginning of Christianity and the incredible challenges of the first Christians. Now, let's go back in time to understand how it all began. Imagine being in a world where Christianity was still something new, small, and full of hope. It all started with Jesus, who came to teach about love, forgiveness, and a different way of connecting with God. He chose the apostles, a group of ordinary people, to spread this incredible message to the world. After Jesus returned to heaven, the apostles continued his work. They traveled from city to city, sharing everything they had learned from Jesus. That's how Christianity began to grow, like a seed that becomes a tree. But do you think it was easy? Not at all. The challenges in the Roman Empire. At that time, the Roman Empire was super powerful and full of rules. The problem is that Christians did not follow the Roman gods because they believed only in the true God. This caused a lot of confusion and even fear among the Romans. They thought, who are these people who only worship one God and talk about a certain Jesus? Because of this, Christians began to face very difficult times. They were persecuted, imprisoned, and sometimes even punished because of their faith. But do you know what is amazing? Even with so much suffering, they did not give up. Every time someone tried to extinguish this flame, it seemed to grow even stronger. The legacy of faith and courage. The first Christians left us an incredible legacy of courage and determination. They not only faced challenges, but also showed the world what it means to live with true faith. And thanks to them, today we can learn and be inspired by this story full of love and perseverance. So, what do you think? Isn't it amazing to know that Christianity began in such a simple way, but with such a powerful force that not even the greatest challenges could stop it? Let's find out more about how this story continued. Constantine and the great step in the history of the Catholic Church. Now imagine a time when Christianity is growing, but still faces many challenges. Then a super important figure appears, Emperor Constantine. He was like a turning point in the history of the church. But why? Let's find out. The impact of Constantine. Constantine was the emperor of the powerful Roman Empire, and he did something that no one expected. Before him, Christians were persecuted, but in 313 AD, he signed a document called the Edict of Milan. This edict said that all people were free to follow whatever religion they wanted, including Christianity. It was like opening a door so that Christians could finally worship God without fear. Suddenly, Christianity stopped being a persecuted faith and began to gain ground in the empire. Imagine how this changed the lives of thousands of people who previously had to hide to live their faith. The Council of Nicaea, a historic moment. But Constantine didn't stop there. In 325 AD, he called the Council of Nicaea a large gathering of Christian leaders from various parts of the empire. The idea was to resolve some confusion about what exactly Christians believed. At this council, important points of the Christian faith were defined, such as the idea that Jesus is both God and man. The Council of Nicaea was like a solid foundation for the church. It helped organize the Christian faith and give more unity to its teachings. It was a milestone in the formation of the Catholic Church as we know it today. The controversies surrounding Constantine. But not everything about Constantine is simple. Many people wonder, did he really convert to Christianity, or did he use religion as a political strategy to strengthen his power? Some say he saw Christianity as a way to unite the empire, which at the time was full of divisions. Others believe his conversion was sincere, especially since he was baptized late in his life. Either way, the impact of his actions was gigantic, and his connection to Christianity changed history forever. Why is Constantine important? Constantine showed that the Christian faith could influence even the largest empires in the world. He gave Christians the freedom to live their faith openly and helped to build the foundation of the Catholic Church. Whether you like his intentions or not, what he did was crucial to the history of Christianity. Without Constantine, would the Church have grown so much and so quickly? It is something for us to think about together as we continue on this incredible journey through the history of the Church. Conspiracies and political decisions in Church history. Now, let's dive into a part full of intrigue and important decisions. We've already talked about the Council of Nicaea, that great meeting that helped organize the Christian faith, right? But was it just about religion? Some people think there was a lot more going on behind the scenes. Let's explore together. The Council of Nicaea, much more than just faith. Imagine Christian leaders from around the world gathered in a large, solemn room. They're discussing important issues like the divinity of Jesus and trying to come to an agreement on what exactly Christians should believe. But at the same time, something curious was happening. Constantine was there, overseeing everything. Some people believe that the emperor used this council as a tool to gain more control. After all, if everyone believed the same things, it would be easier to unite the empire, right? So, in addition to resolving religious debates, the council was also a way to maintain centralized power. The ban on heretical doctrines. At the end of the council, some ideas were officially considered heretical, that is, wrong and contrary to the Christian faith. For example, there was a man named Arius who claimed that Jesus was not fully God. This idea was rejected, and Christian leaders created a document called the Nicene Creed to explain exactly what the true faith was. But think about it. By banning certain doctrines, the council not only defined the faith, but also excluded many people who held different opinions. This was good for the unity of the Church, but it also raised suspicions about the extent to which faith was being shaped by political interests. Theories and conspiracies. Who was really in control? Now comes the most intriguing part. Some say that Constantine and the elites of the empire had a plan to use Christianity as a tool of control. The idea was to centralize power in Rome and ensure that everyone followed a single set of beliefs. Did this really happen? Or is this just a theory that makes history seem more mysterious? What we do know for sure is that the decisions made at the Council of Nicaea shaped Christianity and gave a lot of power to the church that was forming. Secret societies and hidden influences. Have you ever heard of secret societies or hidden influences that may have shaped Christianity? This part of history takes us into a realm full of mysteries and intriguing questions. Let's explore together the influence of ancient cultures on Christianity. Before Christianity became established as an organized religion, the world already had many traditions, myths, and beliefs. Some of these influences, such as Gnosticism and elements of pagan rituals, may have been adapted to fit into the emerging Christian faith. For example, some practices that we see in the Catholic Church, such as the use of incense, symbolism, and even certain rituals, may have their roots in very ancient traditions. This does not mean that these things are bad, but it is interesting to think about how ancient ideas were reinterpreted to create something new and powerful. Secret societies and control. Now here comes a mystery. Some people suggest that secret societies or hidden networks were behind the scenes, influencing how the church developed. Is this true? There is no concrete proof, but we do know that leaders have always tried to shape the faith to maintain control, both political and religious. Symbolism, such as the use of the cross and other visual elements, became a powerful language for uniting people. These symbols not only conveyed the message of Christianity, but also created a deep emotional connection with the faithful. lost texts and forgotten stories. Now imagine that there were other Gospels, in addition to the ones we know today, that told different stories about Jesus and his teachings. Why were they left out? Let's find out. Lost Gospels. What do they say? Among these texts are the Gospel of Thomas and the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. They offer different perspectives on Jesus and his message. For example, the Gospel of Thomas presents words of wisdom that Jesus would have said, while the Gospel of Mary Magdalene highlights the important role she played. But these texts were considered unofficial and were eventually eliminated from what we call the Bible today. This happened because the early church wanted to create a single narrative that would be clear and coherent for all Christians. Peter, the first pope. Did you know that Peter, one of Jesus' apostles, was chosen as the leader of the church? The Catholic Church considers him the first pope, and this was an important decision to solidify the leadership and structure of the faith. But this choice also raised questions about narrative control. Was the centralization of power more political than spiritual? Powerful alliances, and the game of influence. Imagine a time when the church and rulers were always hand in hand, but not always out of friendship. The Catholic Church and political leaders, such as emperors and kings, had a relationship full of strategic alliances and intense disputes. A curious example is the famous donation of Constantine, a document that, at the time, said that Emperor Constantine gave the church immense political and territorial power. But later, it was discovered that it was a forgery. Even so, this donation helped the church to consolidate its place as one of the greatest political forces in the world. And don't think that everything was peace and harmony. Popes and emperors lived between collaborations and disputes, each trying to have more influence. It was like a giant game of chess, with each side trying to protect its kingdom, a church that spread throughout the world. When Christianity arrived in new lands, such as the Americas, it had to adapt to the local cultures. Many Christian holidays, such as Christmas and Easter, were adapted to resemble traditions that already existed. This helped people accept the new faith more easily. But not everything was so beautiful. There were also forced conversions, in which people were forced to become Christians, often under threat. This happened during the colonization of the Americas, when Europeans justified their actions by saying that they were bringing the Word of God. This mixture of adaptation and imposition left deep marks, both good and bad, on various cultures around the world. Mysteries and the search for power. And now we come to a part full of theories and mysteries. The secret strategies of the church and theories about global control. Have you heard of the Illuminati? Some people believe that this secret society, formed by elites, has connections with the church and controls various aspects of the world in secret. Another fascinating point is the Vatican Secret Archive. It holds documents that no one can easily access, and this makes many people wonder, what could be hidden there? Historical secrets, ancient texts. It's a mystery that still intrigues the world. Shall we talk more about it? If you were intrigued by these stories, how about sharing your thoughts? Comment here and join the debate. Shall we continue learning together? May God bless you, and see you next time.